Hi everyone, my name's Keith Nitka. I'm the Battleship Operations Manager here at Battleship Wisconsin, and I want to thank you for joining us today on our Whiskey Wednesday virtual adventure. I have with me again a former crew member, Brendan Holmes. Brendan is Operations Specialist Second Class. He and I are shipmates. We served on board Battleship Wisconsin together, and I've asked Brendan to talk a little bit about this station right here inside of Combat Engagement Center, or Strike. This is the DRT table. I'm not very familiar with it myself. We didn't use them in navigation as far as the plot goes up on the pilot house. So I thought Brendan, since this was his actual general quarters station or battle station here on board the ship, that he would be better suited to talk about this here. So Brendan, if you don't mind.
Of course, absolutely, and I appreciate that. And yeah, so as an operations specialist, you're cross-trained in many fields. Mm-hmm. So I try to refer to Strike or Combat Information Center as almost the brain center of any ship. So there's many rates that are in this room at any given time. We have electronic warfare technicians, we have plenty of officers, senior enlisted, operations specialists. In this particular room, over here in a secured area, we had information specialists and cryptographics, IS and CTs. Right. So they worked with the top secret information. Then you had over here in the corner, you had fire controlmen. So multiple rates were in here. We all had specific jobs, but as an OS, you were cross-trained. Mm-hmm. So over here we had 3 surface consoles, radar. This, the Dead Reckoning tracer, okay, would plot the ship's course through. So this was connected to a DRAI, D-R-A-I, and if I'm not mistaken, it was a Dead Reckoning analyzer. Okay. It was I don't work, down there in the snipes area, but they would have a rod that would go into the water, mm-hmm. and it would send that information up to this system directly. Okay.
So, course and speed, that sort of thing?
Course and speed. So as you see, when you look, so this is actually, it looks like a ship's plot. So underway, ship colors, mm-hmm. worst sound you can hear in the Navy, going out to sea for a few months. You'd take true wind and you'd put it in the corner. Mm-hmm. You'd put an arrow and you'd look up at an indicator and you say, okay, the wind is coming from here, because it had the AGs would plot all that. You read the information, you put it on here, and you put a 4-digit time. Everything is 4-digit time in the military, so we know exactly. Is that AM or PM? Yep. You put 1313, you know we got underway at 1:13 in the afternoon. Mm-hmm. So we would draw a circle around ourselves. We put a box. This is where we were. This is when we left. Now this can be used every couple of minutes. You're taking a read, and you'd have a manipulating arm here. Mm-hmm. With a ruler, and you can kind of turn it this way and that way, and you say, "Oh, okay, our coordinates are very similar to what you did upstairs."
As far as plot.
Yep, plot. And then you'd say, "Okay, so here it is." You put a little circle, or if you were lucky enough, because these tended to go out periodically, if it was working, it would illuminate, and you would just see a little light and you'd mark right there. Mm-hmm. That's where we are. So, but the arms were a backup because. Wasn't the best.
Sure.
It worked. When it worked, it worked great. I do remember we were doing an offload weapons, mm-hmm. Naval Weapons Station, Earl, New Jersey. We're commuting from Norfolk up to Earl, or maybe actually it was when we were because Captain Blesh was here. So, okay. So it was before Desert Strom. We were going to get the 16-inch shells. We were in all sorts of commercial fishing traffic.
Okay.
And we were very close to colliding with a small vessel, because you're a giant ship. It's night, They're mm-hmm. fishing. They're not well lit. We're lit up like a Christmas tree, and they still are kind of like in our path.
Yeah.
So this really came into play.
Okay.
It was, let's say, it was the midnight to 7 watch, and Captain Blesh comes in, and because it's like we sound the collision alarm, and sure. He comes racing in. The first thing he does is he starts asking, and I was actually on this plot. It wasn't general quarters. As I said, you just rotate.
Yep.
And he's like, "Where am I? What happened?" And there's plots everywhere. But this was a visualization of what would have been seen on those there were boards up there.
Sure.
So information was
Status
relayed, status boards, from the radar and the tomahawks. So the first thing he did was he came here and he looked and he's like, where are we? What's our course? So he can actually, you can see where you are and where you're headed. Now, it's not a soundings chart by any imagination. It's just a piece of tracing paper, but you can kind of see if we had to take any evasive movement. And that's, so it's a backup.
Yeah.
And you can kind of see. We did have sounding charts right there. Mostly officers were over there. This room would not have been, if I'm not mistaken, I don't think it was this lit.
You had blue light.
Blue light, yeah. I'm going to say because it seems kind of bright.
Yeah.
So because it would affect your there's your status boards.
Yeah.
So yes, you have to be able to see the radars. So I remember looking around going, it's kind of bright in here, So and then this right here, we'd have a radar station here. Mm-hmm. This box, this shield right here, would house what's called IFF, which is to identify friend or foe.
Okay.
We would have a transponder.
Mm-hmm. We
would squawk. We'd send out like a radar.
Sure.
We'd send out a little radar blip. It would hit a box on an airplane.
Okay.
If it came back friendly, it had a circle. Unknown would have a square. Hostile would be like a caret, like on the keyboard.
Oh, sure.
Like half of a diamond. Mm-hmm. And that's how we would identify. During wartime, they may turn off their IFF transponder. The enemy combatants.
Okay.
So we would know, and then they would be assumed as unknown.
Hostile.
Yeah, assumed hostile, but unknown. Because you don't know. You're like, okay. But obviously, if they're on our side, we're going to know not to shoot them down.
Sure.
And that, I don't know if you recall, great story if I can digress here. Desert Storm. Mm-hmm. A gentleman sitting over there on the EW station, Electronic Warfare Station.
Yep.
Sounds the alarm. Vampire, vampire, vampire.
I
You remember that well.
Yeah.
Vampire,
well.
inbound missile to the ship. Mm-hmm. You take evasive actions. You go to general quarters. I literally, with Captain Bill, we're stuck between these two, like huddled to it. We were like, of course, I'm a lot smaller back then, but he and I were right in here. Like we were just like, okay, this isn't going to hurt us, and this isn't going to hurt us. We're kind of like in a safer area. A returning friendly aircraft was misconstrued to think it was an enemy missile. And the reason for that, I was on watch. We had fired our last Tomahawk cruise missiles, and Captain Bill took us outside. There's a very famous photograph on the association's website that shows all the Tomahawk guys in front of us. So he gave us, So Captain Bill gave us a prep talk, and he says, hey, guys, he's like, you did a great job. No matter what anybody tells you, you defended freedom. I mean, the guy was amazing.
Yeah.
I'd follow him anywhere. And we get done with that. 5 minutes, I'm in the pep talk. We come back in here. That's when they sound the alarm.
Okay.
So we, as OSs, assumed that because we fired a Tomahawk missile, depending on its waypoints, we thought the Iraqis matched reverse bearing. So bearing on a compass rose.
Right.
So we're firing so for argument's sake, we're looking north. Iraq is over here. Let's say we fire it at 285. They're going to reverse. Oh my God, do the math real quick. So that's subtract 180 from 285. So, 185.
Yeah.
105. 90, 15, 105. So the missile, they would come back at a 105 degree bearing. If I'm wrong, my math's off.
No, but this is the assumption.
So we assumed that they fired. They were like, hey, a missile's coming from here. Let's fire a missile back in that direction.
Right.
And that's what we thought. So immediately we go into, it's a cacophony in here. I mean, everybody is like screaming, and we're trying to like keep calm, knowing that what the technology is telling us, that there's a missile inbound, and we're like, please, and I look back now and I remember sitting here going, missed the ship, hit aft, because we had the armor belting and the aft, you had aft steering.
Yes.
You know, here you're going to hit the brains of the ship, you're going to be blind, and then the entire ship could be sunk. But if it hits after it misses the ship, you know, believe me, no offense to any of my brothers on the ship here, but you know, if it hits the rudder, okay, so it'll be dead in water for a little bit. But you know, the idea is you don't want it to hit the brains of the ship. So that.
No, I remember very well. My GQ station was up on the 08 level, and I happened to be in my berthing, so I ran 8 stories up to the 08 level.
6 steps at a time.
Yep. And I got there, and I was with QMS and Shelley. We had the plot. That was our GQ station plot. And you know, we're getting bits and pieces of information all the way up there. You guys are dealing with it here. It's going to the pilot house, and then from the pilot house, they're radioing up to us, telling us what is going on. And it wasn't so. Because I'm not in this situation, it didn't really hit me that something was actually happening until the bosun mate of the watch came on the 1MC and said, "Brace for shock." When he said "brace for shock," I looked at Jeff. Jeff looked at me, and you can't say these things, but it was at that very moment. I'm assuming this is where you were for "brace for shock." I was, it was
your life flashes before your eyes.
Scary, scary moment, and then this jet comes flying overhead. Because we could hear it, you know, as it passed overhead. So it was exceptionally scary for us. I believe it was a British tornado. I don't know that for sure. I believe it was a British tornado. But whoever it was, one very lucky SOB.
Yeah, because if we had been a destroyer or a cruiser, we would have taken them out. But I do remember. Missile overhead, and it was like everyone breathed a sigh of relief, like and then all of a sudden, then things calm down because in the heat of the moment, you're trained. You know, a lot of people, you know, because I own I had a restaurant for 11 years, and I would train people every day. I said, in the event this happens, whether it be an emergency, whether someone comes in with a weapon, whether you have a busload of tourists coming in, you have to be prepared. So I was always training. That's what I loved about the military. We trained 12 hours a day so that when it came to it, it was reactionary. You're like, oh, okay, so I have to do this. I'm going to do this. You know, it's not like, what do I do? What do I do? You're screaming, everybody losing their head. You know, we were very well trained. You know, so
very much so.
The Navy does such a great job of training. You know, looking back, you're like, wow, this is awesome. The training they did, going through it. Then I worked 12 hours every day, 7 days a week. Yeah, that was 84-hour work weeks. Yeah, they were tough. I do remember those. So,
wow. Brendan, thank you very much for this walk down memory lane. I really appreciate
it. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm telling you, it's great. And you know, if I can plug, I became a member today of the USS Wisconsin. So
Nauticus, the Nauticus.
I'm sorry. The Nauticus, you know, I refer to the USS Wisconsin. It's a great opportunity for us as former sailors to give back to the ship and to this floating museum and the monument, and of people like Keith who were former sailors that keep them employed, and they allow us to relay the information for future generations to come. So please consider joining. It's not a lot of money. It's a very nominal amount. Use your military discount. You didn't hear that from me. $79 for a year. It's a great opportunity, and as I said, the invite here was great.
Thank you very much.
Of course, thank you.
Again.
As well. Thank you.
So, thank you again today for this virtual adventure of Whiskey Wednesday. My name is Keith Nitka, Operations Manager here on board Battleship Wisconsin, and I do stress that you come and visit the ship. Come often, because we're getting better every day, and we're opening up new points and new places, and we look forward to visiting with you and seeing you and showing you around our lovely ship. So, thank you very much, and have a great day.